Johnny 5 is alive. I think my first introduction to artificial intelligence was R2-D2 and C-3PO, right? I saw the two droids just walking across the desert landscape, right? Looking for God knows what, because I haven't watched that movie in forever. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, in case you haven't noticed. And then after that, a couple years later, one of my favorite movies when I was a kid was this movie called Short Circuit. And one of these little robotic characters that went by the name Johnny 5, right? He ends up hanging out with two human beings, Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy, I think. And it was just a great little movie because they were basically trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the military. And one of the things that Johnny 5 did at the opening scene, which I thought was really telling because it really describes in detail kind of how AI works. If you remember, somebody handed him a dictionary, or he might have just grabbed it himself, and he ended up reading the dictionary through. And when he was done, he said, more input. And that's kind of how I envision artificial intelligence, where it just seems like it's this entity that keeps getting smarter and smarter. So today I'm watching this video, and this guy was describing how on college campuses, a lot of the professors are extremely worried because they believe that students are using AI pretty much to do all of their schoolwork, which means we have people that are pretty much learning how to get by through college and get majors and joining the workforce that might not actually understand the basis of what they went to college for. In other words, in the short term, if you use AI to help you with emails, to help you understand how to break down what the assignment is so you can understand it better, then I think we can all agree that AI can really help you in the short term. But the people on the video I was watching today were arguing that if you extrapolate that out and you look at the long term, all of a sudden you have a situation where you could have people, well, how can I say this? Do you guys remember that girl that we were talking about 2 or 3 months back, that she actually went to college and she actually didn't know how to read? You can get to the point where you're so dependent on artificial intelligence that you're literally losing IQ points because you're not understanding what the heck you're doing. You're having the computer do it for you nonstop. To make it even more difficult and challenging on the professors, even when they try apps, and different programs where they can detect artificial intelligence, a lot of times the students argue that if you sound stupid, they're going to say that you're not using artificial intelligence. But if your papers actually sound smart and authentic, which a lot of people are naturally smart, that a lot of times the apps that these professors use and the software they use to detect AI actually detects it simply because they're using big words. In other words, they're not very accurate at all in detecting if a person's doing the work themselves or using ChatGPT. You might have noticed a lot of videos recently on YouTube where they're kind of talking about how you can get rich right now if you're willing to learn how to use AI to its fullest to help you succeed. In other words, if you're not willing to learn about AI, your competition is going to, and they're going to ultimately blow you out of the water and make your job obsolete. So that's probably going to be big over the next year or two, probably a lot of courses and how people can make the most out of their AI experience and how they can add to that knowledge base. I don't know about you, but for a guy that's slowly but surely getting older in this world, seems really, really intimidating. With that being said, I for the past couple years have been using ChatGPT in my line of work, what I found is that it creates better templates than I ever could. I found that it gives me really good ideas when I'm kind of lost. You know, a lot of times we as human beings, we don't want other people to know that we're lost. So sometimes it's hard to want to go to your supervisor and say, hey, can you retrain me or reteach me this principle here that I'm not quite understanding? But if you have a nice conversation with ChatGPT, a lot of times you'll find out that you end up understanding it more. What are you saying, Jesse? What I'm saying is, I think there's a chance that ChatGPT can actually help you become more intelligent. But just like the video said, more intelligent in the short term. The more you get used to using ChatGPT or AI, we're going to have a situation in the future where you're not able to do anything without it. When I was in my early 20s, I absolutely loved football because I was still at an age where only a couple years earlier I was playing football, right? And one of my favorite football movies at the time was this one based in college, the college game, and it was called The Program. In the program, one of these defensive linemen was really, really muscular. He played like the role of like an all-American football player, but he was on steroids. And what happened was when he was on his cycle, he was unstoppable. He was the world's best defensive player at the college level. But right towards the end of the movie, he had to get off the steroids, and all of a sudden he was being dominated on the field. He was basically ineffective now that he was weaker, slower, and not so dominant, right? And in a weird way, that's what artificial intelligence is for us. In the short term, it's kind of like giving a great athlete steroids, but in the long term, it's kind of like giving them a handicap. Because right when you get used to having an assistant, and let's be honest, the AI is actually an assistant that's already smarter than us. So right when you start relying on this assistant, that's when the damage starts happening. What's really crazy is even if you take it at a smaller level, almost all of us have zero memorization skills compared to what we had just a few decades back. If you ask your parents, and if some of you guys are my age, you probably remember this, many of us used to have about 15 to 25 phone numbers memorized in our heads. That almost seems like something impossible to do nowadays, doesn't it? I'd also be willing to bet that out of all the people watching me, the whole 20 of you, I'd be willing to bet that probably 15 of us don't know many more than maybe 1 or 2 phone numbers of our family members. I mean, I got to be honest with you, if you made me call my daughter, my son, my this, my that, I don't really know anybody's phone number other than my own. And to be honest with you, there's times where if you were to ask me my phone number, I would have to think about it because out of all the numbers I call my phone number the least. So 25 years ago, your boy probably knew 15 or 20 phone numbers by heart. Now, I barely know my own phone number. Also, if you were to ask me, what's my license plate number? I haven't bothered memorizing my license plate in quite a few years. So I honestly don't know what my license plate number is. Now, the good news is I have paperwork where I know where that is. So even if someone were to snag my vehicle, thank God I have access to the license plate and stuff. What color was it, sir? God, I can't really remember, sir. I don't know what color my car is. Somebody left a comment on one of my videos from today or yesterday, and I thought it was hilarious. He goes, 17 minutes of listening to you? Nope. And it really made me laugh because I think if you guys have been listening to me for a long time, I think it's kind of because we've all bitten into this idea that if we're going to be walkers, it's going to be for a long, long time. So we might as well do it together. If you're new to the show, every day I like to walk. I like to drink water, I like to avoid sugar, and perhaps more than all those three things combined, I like to try to talk other saps like you guys into joining me. My thinking is, if I can show you that sometimes the slower, more mundane, boring things of the world can actually be enjoyable, such as taking a walk, and if I get you to do that and you agree, then I've won. Socratic Satoshi says, unless you're going to be something like an engineer, an MD, or a lawyer where you need a license, college is a waste. You know, it's interesting. I've been hearing people say college is a waste for the longest time now, but it still seems like to me that the more people you meet in this world that are super successful, it seems like they all have an alma mater, don't they? Think about this. You see a lot of people that are successful, it seems like they have a college that they attended. You see a lot of people that are borderline homeless and unsuccessful, and I think you'd find a lot more people that'll tell you they never finished high school, let alone went to college. One of the reasons I'm impressed by people that go to college is because we live in a world of people that like to quit shit all the time. And if you actually had the gumption and the wherewithal to actually go to college for 4 years and graduate, I don't care what anybody tells you, that's an accomplishment. It takes loyalty to yourself and the school. It takes dedication. It does take intelligence. It takes a little sacrifice. And if that's what it takes to graduate, that's something to be proud of. So for all of my venters that went to college and graduated, awesome job. And for all of my venters that went to college and maybe left early or never went to college, hey, we got to live in this life. We got to do it together. Let's walk while we do it, since, you know, you don't have a college diploma. David Campbell, 6395, says, the bigger problem is, if you guys are teaching them things AI can already do, then they're already obsolete. So there's a good point. Whenever you do go to college or university, you're investing tens of thousands of dollars of not only your money, but probably your folks' money as well. And if they're teaching you stuff there that literally is going to be replaced by AI, and in some cases already is, then you probably should ask for your money back, or you should think about changing your major. Here's the scary thing, even for doctors and lawyers and this, that, and the other, I would make an argument that artificial intelligence might be better than your lawyer or your doctor. Hi, how are you? When I had double hernia surgery, my doctor actually used Da Vinci robotic surgery on me. It's where basically there was a robot doing the surgery, right? And then my doctor was behind a video game screen, and he basically was playing a video game, you know, while he was taking care of my double hernia. Well, I don't see any reason why the doctor couldn't be replaced in that scenario. So imagine a future where all the surgeons are no longer needed. All the doctors are no longer needed. They're already starting to indoctrinate a lot of us with these virtual health visits where you're literally seeing a doctor or a nurse right there on your cell phone from the comfort of your home. Some of you guys watching this might have already taken advantage of the telehealth system, right? Well, what's to say that that doctor and nurse that you were talking to, what's to say they were even human? If they were artificial intelligence, would you have been able to tell or know the difference? And if they gave you the same advice, maybe even better advice, I don't know what to make of that. What do you guys think? I just think that they're going to be able to get rid of doctors. I've already told you guys here that I think they should get rid of judges and parole boards and flop them out for AI. And I heard a couple of different voices throughout the years that have said you need to become a plumber or an electrician. But basically with AI and a combination of robotics and AI, they're going to be able to replace the plumber and the electrician and the HVAC guy too. It's literally a matter of time before they eliminate everything. And here's the thing. Should the US actually do an about face, and should we actually destroy every computer in the world from the standpoint of should we as a people actually get rid of artificial intelligence? Because it's going to create a world where a lot of us are just fat blobs that don't remember how to do anything for ourselves. That sounds kind of like the end of the world. Could you imagine if right when they were about to perfect AI, there was just a big explosion and it all went up in smoke? I could picture that happening. Here's a scary thing. You might think that's not going to happen, but what if we found out that Russia or China or North Korea was legitimately ahead of us, and tomorrow they were going to come up with the breakthrough to make them come up with this AGI thing, right? Well, apparently there's a lot of military leaders out there that believe once that occurs, it's going to be game over the very next day. Because right when you have that strategic advantage, it would be stupid not to use it. And if you're China or Russia, why wouldn't you use it on the US right then and there? And they honestly strike me as countries that probably would use it. So again, right now we're all thinking, hey, it's just a nice race to see who's number one. But if we start to think that someone else is actually ahead of us, you're probably going to start to see bombs go off. That's just my opinion, though. White Oni says AI has erased all the lines in the students' minds. I agree. We have entered a dark age of education. Yeah, we've basically invented this superhuman entity called AI, and we're watching as it becomes the strongest, smartest thing in the universe at our peril. It's fascinating. It's a great, scary movie. I'm sure something will happen and we'll start to realize in the future that AI never quite gets as smart as we think it's going to. I think the reason that the AIs deal with hallucinations now is because the way they learn is to scour the internet, and everything on the internet is bullshit, and that's probably why these AI programs hallucinate and give you bad information all the time. And by the way, it's a lot of times. Fact check what the AI says. It's wrong quite a bit, and that's just on the questions I've asked it. So make sure you guys check that out. It's interesting. Juicy says, even the instructors rely on AI to generate the test and the assignment questions. It's so annoying that they don't even format the prompt format. So that's another good point. How the heck are your teachers going to tell you not to cheat and use AI when they're slowly but surely getting to the point where instead of being a teacher themselves, they're starting to rely on AI? It's a real big recipe for disaster. If you really think about it, this is the end of the world. It's just a matter of time before this machine takes over or China and Russia take over. It's just a matter of time. Yup, 932 says, this is simply the evolution of the calculator. It could be. You guys remember how a couple minutes ago I told you that I've been using AI for the last couple of years? I've actually been thinking about my strategy for the upcoming school year. And my strategy is I want to become like AI. I want to have a template ready for every single type of email that I can. I want to have lists and text lists of people that I can reach out to at every state with the push of a button. I can reach out to multiple of them, right? Instead of 1 or 2 people via email, I could reach out to 50 at a time. I'm going to try to cater my success by copying what I feel like AI does best for me already. And that's what this last comment's all about. This last comment comes from Alpha Cage 1054. It says, I started using AI while I read my textbooks. If I don't understand a theorem or an example, I ask it to explain it differently or intuitively. I couldn't solve exercises on my own, but after the help, I am able to have an intuitive understanding of differential geometry. Thus proving that pretty soon the AI will be the teacher. By the way, when you think of these really tough schools in the inner cities where they're failing and teachers can't go in there because when they do, they end up getting in fights with the students and stuff, what better way to change those kids' lives than to remove the teachers that are ineffective and go ahead and replace them with AI teachers, right? A TV screen. And here's the thing. The AI teacher is actually going to be better than an actual real life person, in my opinion, for these particular schools. And if all of a sudden you have a situation where you as a student take advantage of that you're learning from a world-class AI software rather than a person, you could actually become the smartest person in your state. So if your school ever gets rid of the teachers and replaces them with AI, don't listen to your parents and all the people around you that are going to tell you it's a travesty. Take advantage of having the smartest teacher in the world, because you guys are going to be the first to have it, so take advantage of it. Another thing I want you guys to take advantage of is your daily walk. Get outside, take a walk, come back again. We'll do it tomorrow. Have a good night.